Well, welcome to a new Team CGC 9.8 video. It is the new year, so I thought it would be a really good time to kind of make a new want list video. I think it's been about 3 months since I made my last one. Want list for the new year, and comics I'm kind of hunting even, at this moment. That's what I was kind of thinking, because, the ones that I'm really hunting on eBay and, up there are the ones that I really want. So, kind of narrowed the list down to 6. So yeah, we'll get right into them. I think it's a really cool list. Some affordable ones and some more like investment grade ones. Really quick, I want to invite you to join the team and subscribe to Team CGC 9.8 and hit the bell, get all our latest notifications. Add me on Instagram and Twitter too. And message me on Instagram if you want. I'm kind of on Instagram more if you'd like to message me and chit chat about comics or whatever it might be. And still at the early stage, I think, for the channel, so kind of need all the subs we can get, and that would be awesome if you could help us out there. So there's a list of 6 I got, but really quickly, I want to talk about bringing out this Uncanny XMen 142, but I want to talk about Uncanny XMen 141 that I happened to just buy a couple days ago in the CGC 9.8 white pages in a newsstand version too. So the perfect companion for this book, Days of Future Past 1, Part 1, and it's like the first Rachel, who's like the Phoenix number 2. And so perfect companion for this book. That book was on my last want list video that I did maybe 3 months ago. So just grabbed that like 3 days ago. Otherwise, Uncanny XMen 141 would have been a part of this want list video, basically. Because that's one I've been trying to get for a decent price, decent shipping. And I was able to kind of get both, I think. So that'll be an unbox video soon. Alright, let's get into the 6 books, though. First book is one I do not have. It's Totally Awesome Hulk, number 22. A pretty popular modern book. It's the first Weapon H. So when Hulk kind of gets, the Weapon X Wolverine treatment, pretty much. And there's always that cool connection with Hulk and Wolverine, I think. So anything with kind of them two things mixed together, dating all the way back to the first appearance of Wolverine in Incredible Hulk when they first fought. So Totally Awesome Hulk number 22, First Weapon H, I think is kind of just a really cool one to have. I wouldn't really think of this as an investment grade book. I just want it. Because I think it's a cool idea. So there's a 1,639 9.8s of this one, and 85% is the 9.8 ratio. So 85% of these sent to CGC are 9.8s. So again, a really popular modern book, came out in like 2017. So this book, I'm waiting for like a really good price. I mean, right now, the cheapest one on eBay in the US is $80, but to ship it to Canada, for me, it's like $50. So, I'm going to wait for something under $80 with reasonable shipping to Canada, or hopefully in Canada, on Totally Awesome Hulk number 22, because there's 1,639 of them. So, yeah, there's no reason to kind of rush out and want to buy this, because there's quite a lot of them out, so you'll see some auctions pop up. I think I looked last night, and there wasn't really any auctions, but there was one for $80 if you're in the US, I think, that has decent shipping. So, certainly an affordable one, just a really cool one that I was thinking about that, yeah, and I wouldn't think of this as an investment grade book. It's a newer book, and there's tons of them on the census already in the 9.8. So if you think it's really cool, though, I think it's one to grab kind of for, the same reason that I think is just the coolness of it. Next book I want to buy in a CGC 9.8 is Batman 635. Yeah, the first Jason Todd is Red Hood. I did say on my Batman video when I had got my Detective 523, like, this is the kind of last Batman key I really want. And then, after I got off camera, I was like, is it really? But not really. This is kind of the last one that I want in the CGC 9.8. Lucky enough to have a nice, raw copy, so, wasn't super urgent on this one, because this one is a nice newsstand fresh, like, 9.6, 9.8. No obvious kind of flaws or creases on it, so this is a high grade one. So Batman 635, first Jason Todd is Red Hood. Red Hood's first appearance is in like, I forget exactly, Detective Comics in like the 50s or something. So, kind of a first modern appearance of Red Hood, who's a popular kind of Batman sort of villain, anti-hero character And on the census, there's 472 of these in the CGC 9.8, so a lot less than the Totally Awesome Hulk. So probably got to be more patient on this one. 43% is the CGC 9.8 ratio. For modern books, that 9.8 ratio probably not as important. But 472 out there in the CGC 9.8. There's one in Canada right now. The seller wants, what was it? It's 325 Canadian that he has his price at. So I'm kind of looking, in auctions, this has gone in the CGC 9.8 for like 160, 150 something. A really nice looking one with great pictures, maybe like 175, 180. Some of them have gone to 200, don't get me wrong, but I saw them go for that cheap. So I'm sort of looking to get it in that price range, sort of a 150 to 175 American. So about 225 Canadian, let's call it, whereas cheapest one is a buy it now for 325 Canadian right now. So kind of $100 difference from where I want to be. Since, a modern book, so I want to be patient on these ones and, don't want to pay in the higher part of a fair market value. This book's kind of a good one too, because I think it's kind of come down in price. Like it really heated up there, and I think a lot of them were selling over 200, like in that sort of 225 range. And there's still a lot of people trying to get that, but in auctions, these go for like 150 to 160. So I'll probably just end up waiting for an auction. But nonetheless, a cool key that I definitely want in 2020. So next book is one I already have one of, Spawn number 1 in the newsstand version. I really just want like another one of these, to be honest. Just a fresh newsstand version of the first appearance of Spawn. And classic cover, and I think Spawn right now it's a good time to buy because there's no movie, there's no obvious promotion, and it's sort of easy to say that because it's not like an MCU type of character that's like gonna have a lot of promotion for it, but still you never know. And I know last year, because I believe like Jamie Foxx was in an issue of Spawn saying that he was gonna be Spawn in a movie or something like that, and that just got all these rumors going. This issue shot up to like 400 and over. Was able to grab it for $375. This one. So that's kind of right. I would say bang on fair market value for this book, because there's a lot of these books for like buy it now is for like $450, even over. People are really trying to get a lot for this book sometimes because there's not a lot of them out there. Like, the census is a bit weird for this one because the newsstands are lumped in with the direct versions of Spawn, and there was like millions of direct versions. It's like 1.7 million copies of Spawn number 1 were printed. Some of those being newsstands too. But on the census, there's 5,242 CGC 9.8s of Spawn number 1. If you kind of take like 5% of that, which is a sort of a rough estimate of the newsstand portion of that, it turns out to be like, I think it's like 260, something like that. So 260 copies. I would say it's probably even more over than that of Spawn number 1 in the CGC 9.8 newsstand. About 260 of them. I would say it's probably closer to 500, to be honest, would be my feeling. But not a lot of them out there. About, 350, 375 is a really good price for this, I think. And I'm kind of looking to pay that price again and grab another one. I got one of them. I also have one in the raw copy. I probably should have brought that out, but a nice one too. That's probably a 9.6. Got kind of a fuzzy corner, but it's pretty bang on perfect. But still kind of want to kind of satisfy my Spawn itch. I do want another Spawn number 1 newsstand. So still kind of actively looking for that. Another one I'm actively looking for, speaking of not satisfying an itch, is Batman Beyond number 1. First Batman Beyond, first Terry McGinnis. Coolest character. Gotta love Terry McGinnis. And a book I would recommend for like a modern book for sure. Like on the CGC census, there's only 159 of them. So out of all these books, it's the least, out of all the books we'll talk about in this video, there's the least 9.8s of this book. And I've always said it's like such a popular, cool character with a super cult following, but not a lot of supply for this book. 159 in the CGC 9.8, which is why it's expensive. Like, I saw these going in, one of them in an auction about a month ago now, and it was $475 in an auction. Batman Beyond, you want to make sure to get the kind of first print UPC code version. There's a couple other versions out there. There's the Origin issue. There's the Six Flags issue. you know, I would stick to this one with the UPC code. It's the one that all the collectors want. It's the one that's really expensive, I know, but also like the UPC newsstand version, which is that's like the holy grail of Batman Beyond #1s in the CGC 9.8. It's basically exactly like this, but it doesn't say direct sales here, and it's a newsstand barcode. You know, quite rare. Though I have 2 of these in the CGC 9.8, but they're both direct editions. But still really pumped to have them. There's only 2 of 159, so I do want to make it 3 of 159. And I did make an offer on one the other day, which was declined for $465, and it was like $20 shipping to Canada. Declined, yeah, and his was, I think he literally had his priced at $900 or best offer. So people are, literally this issue, kind of, since I've been really following the market in the last 2 years, I think is somehow just kept kind of creeping up with no real promotion. Like, I know those Batman Beyond DVDs came out, and it was remastered in the Blu-ray, so maybe that has a little bit to do with it, getting everyone pumped up again for it. Okay, so Batman Beyond #1, a book I definitely am still hunting definitely had to put it on my want list. So next book, I want to kind of make it a broader want, but it's basically Amazing Spider-Man books, I'll say, because there's a couple issues I want to zero in, because I feel like Spider-Man books are kind of, you know, softening, certainly more than a lot of other comics. Spider-Man books, I underestimated the effect of, like, Far From Home and Into the Spider-Verse and Spider-Man being in Avengers, and like, there was just a continual promotion pump for Spider-Man, and even I didn't really see it, and I was buying books all through that, so I overpaid for, you know, some of my Amazing Spider-Man issues in the last year. So yeah, we'll get into a couple that I'm like eyeing right here. So I want to grab, hopefully, and I'm not too picky on which one it's going to be, but I brought Amazing Spider-Man 252 out. There's like 1,183 of these on the census, and 11.6% is the CGC 9.8 ratio. So only 11.6% of graded comics of Amazing Spider-Man 252 are CGC 9.8. So really nice investment grade, low ratio, lower the better for those ratios. So, you know, I got 2 of these already in the CGC 9.8 white pages. Bought them for both just over $500 for both of them, which is right now, to be honest, a full retail price for this book. It's like, you know, a decent full retail price, but in auctions, you're kind of getting these at like $350 basically at this point. So I'm looking to kind of grab one in that price range. There's one on eBay right now for $350 or best offer, and I think it's got tons of best offers. But shipping's really expensive to Canada, so can't grab that one. But yeah, for about $350 US is what I'm looking to grab. Another 252 basically in the CGC 9.8. You know, I paid a lot more for them. You know, it's kind of in the hype for some of those movies, and just kind of underestimating. I thought, you know, Spider-Man's so iconic, like some of these movies probably won't move the needle so much, because like everyone just always loves Spider-Man. But yeah, those movies really do kind of suck in more buyers and push up prices, and yeah, and definitely my Amazing Spider-Man 252s I kind of paid up for, but they're both really nice colors, both really nicely centered, so you know, kind of got to pay up for those usually. Amazing Spider-Man 316, first, like, iconic Venom cover. Amazing Spider-Man, you know, 300 is first appearance of Venom, but it's gotten so expensive, certainly in the 9.8, that this is like a really go-to book for, you know, maybe even a collector to kind of buy their first Amazing Spider-Man book, if they're sort of in the era, interested in the era. So, yeah, this is one I am kind of looking to grab at a good price, too. A good price for me would be about $250. I saw a couple of these dip below $250, but then I saw one on our pricing video in an auction, a really nicely centered one, go for $330 US. And then I was watching one that was $300 as a buy it now in the US, and that one sold quite quickly, like a day after that last one. So yeah, I think a really nicely centered one of this is kind of going for, you know, 2 have sold for over $300, whereas I kind of saw felt the lull in the last 3-4 months, and with this book, and probably should have jumped on and bought another one for under $250 if I could. Still kind of looking for that price, $250 with good shipping to Canada, so hopefully like under $20 shipping to Canada. But lucky to have a nice, perfectly centered copy too. This book I bought it off eBay in the raw as part of the 11 books I sent one time into CGC. That's the only time I ever sent books into CGC. Was one time I sent 11 in, and one of it was this. When I bought this off eBay, came back at 9.8, so got lucky there. Okay, last book. So yeah, the fifth book was sort of like Amazing Spider-Man books in general. Probably zeroing in on both of those keys, trying to add another one at a nice price. Okay, last book on the list. Book I already got, and I want to get one more. Spawn Batman, #1. And love this book. It's a thing for this book too. It's a great book as a signature series candidate. If you can either get one and get it signed, or and yeah, some of these Todd McFarlane with the Todd McFarlane signing, I'm sure there were a couple of these that he did sign. They're really expensive if you get Frank Miller and Todd McFarlane to sign it. But for me, I just, I dig the blue labels. And I think this one, yeah, it's there's 172 CGC 9.8, so not a lot of CGC 9.8s out there, to be honest. But, yeah, it tends to sell quite fast if this is posted at a reasonable price. And I would say a reasonable price for this, kind of bang on about $100 American. Sometimes a little bit over, sometimes a little bit under. If maybe the auction's kind of obscure and the pictures aren't as good, might go for under 100. But people do, buy it now, pay over 100 for this quite often, and for good reason. There's only 172 out there on the CGC census. Because yeah, when you think about it, $100 in the CGC 9.8 is what a Spawn #1 goes for now, because there's just so many, over 5,000 of them. So people would, why would you buy this for the same as a Spawn #1? Well, there's 172 of these in the world, so on the planet. So that's why, basically, and I feel like it could be even higher. So yeah, around $100. That's kind of what I'm looking to pay for this book. Maybe even over if it's just looking crisp, but the case is looking really good in the pictures. Maybe even I would just pay a little bit over that to make sure I want another one. Yeah, 49% is the CGC 9.8 ratio, so about half of them are 9.8s, but only 172. And yeah, this is a really good book. They're expensive in the signature series, but this is one of the very few books that I've looked at to sort of get to possibly buy a signature series of it, with Todd McFarlane and Frank Miller signing it, two of my favorite artists and storytellers, I think, of certainly the modern age. I think they're kind of the two biggest ones, and these are my two favorite superheroes too. So yeah, it's almost like throw Spidey in there, and those are my three favorite superheroes. So love this book. Get another one for around $100. Hell yeah, sign me up. So yeah, and then I just thought when I was making this video, I was what am I searching on eBay the most, just instinctively? And yeah, I kind of came up with these 6 books. At this moment, I would say the first 2, Totally Awesome Hulk #22 and Batman 635, kind of more modern books that I just want because, cool first appearances, but I wouldn't really think of them too much as investment grade books. Whereas, Spawn #1 newsstand and Batman Beyond #1, certainly modern investment grade books for me. Spawn #1, make sure you get it in the newsstand. Again, kind of more expensive, but I would recommend that. Yeah, and then looking to kind of jump on some Spidey books because I'm seeing way better prices than what I've been paying before. So, I don't want to get discouraged or anything like that. But another thing that I was kind of thinking about was an Amazing Spider-Man 300 newsstand in maybe a 9.6 or even a 9.4, a really good looking 300 newsstand version and a 9.6 or 9.4. I think that's the first time where I was thinking, I could really possibly buy a 9.6 or a 9.4. So maybe that'll be another way to kind of, take advantage of the Spider-Man lull in prices a little bit. And then Spawn Batman, super cool issue. Frank Miller, Todd McFarlane, can't go wrong, I think. All right, that'll be about it. Yeah, for my 2020 want list, 6 books, and yeah, Uncanny X-Men 141 would have been on it. A book that I would totally recommend to if you're an X-Men fan. I think that's right on the edge of kind of I think it's early 80s, like it's like 83 maybe even earlier. So kind of a really old book that you can still get in the 9.8 for around like $400. That I think is just like classic John Byrne X-Men, and you get first appearances in there, and Days of Future Past is like a super iconic storyline. So yeah, a couple of ideas hopefully that you'll get from the want list. And if you haven't already, I invite you to join the team and subscribe to Team CGC 9.8. Hit the bell, get all our latest notifications. And still at the early stages here, so yeah, just want to get as many subs as we can at the early stage of the channel. I still think it's the early stage of the channel. I'm kind of being patient and just trying to be consistent with content, but not too many expectations in the first year. I just want to be consistent, and yeah, in the whole first year, I think is early stages for me anyway. So thank you very much for watching today. I'll see you on the next video.